Hello, this is Nana from my back porch. Thank you for joining me today. You are all artists. Hello and welcome. I am Nana. I'm going to tell you today about one of my most favorite artists and authors. Her name is Beatrix Potter. Helen Beatrix Potter, known as Beatrix, was born on July the 28th, 1866, to Rupert and Helen Potter in Kensington, London. Her younger brother, Bertram, followed 6 years later. Beatrix and Bertram loved to draw and paint and often made many sketches of their pets, which included rabbits, frogs, lizards, snakes, and a bat. Beatrix was always encouraged to draw, and she spent many hours making detailed sketches of animals and plants. That started an early fascination for the natural world that would continue throughout her life. Although she never went to school formally, she was a highly intelligent student, and her parents hired an art student and several governesses, including Anne Moore, who remained Beatrix's friend throughout her life. Beatrix was devoted to the care of her small animals, and she often took them with her on long holiday trips. In most of her first 15 years, she spent her summers in Scotland. There she sketched and explored areas that nourished her imagination and observation. Beatrix and her brother were allowed great freedom in the country, and both became really great students of natural history. The family began to take holidays in the Lake District of England at Ray Castle. She met a vicar named Hardwicke Rawnsley, who was later to become the founding secretary of the National Trust, whose interest in the countryside and country life inspired the young Beatrix and had a lasting impact on her life. Her parents did not discourage higher education, but it was common in the Victorian era that women of her class were privately educated at home and rarely went to a university. Beatrix was interested in every branch of natural science, but astronomy. No, she was not interested in astronomy. She studied what she was fascinated with. She collected fossils, studied artifacts from excavations around London. In these areas, she drew and painted her specimens with great skill. She was especially curious about fungi or mushrooms and began painting microscopic spores and actually developed a theory of germination. Beatrix's artistic and writings were deeply influenced by fairies, fairy tales, and fantasy. She loved the stories of Hans Christian Andersen, Aesop's Fables, Uncle Tom's Cabin, Shakespeare, and loved the stories from the Old Testament. As a way to earn money in the 1890s, Beatrix and her brother began to print Christmas cards of their own design, as well as cards for special occasions. Mice and rabbits were frequent subjects of her fantasy paintings. She sold several of her drawings of her rabbit Benjamin Bunny to a London publisher and was very pleased at her success and was determined to publish her own illustrated stories. Whenever Potter went on vacation to the Lake District or to Scotland, she sent letters to young friends, illustrating the letters with her quick little sketches. Many of these letters were sent to her former governess, Anne Carter Moore, particularly to Moore's eldest son, whose name was Noel. He was often sick. Beatrix had run out of things to say to Noel, so she told him a story about 4 little rabbits named Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. It became one of the most famous children's letters ever written, and it was the beginning of Beatrix's career as an artist storyteller. On October the 2nd, 1902, The Tale of Peter Rabbit was published and was immediately a huge success. It was followed the next year by The Tale of Squirrel Nutkin, and Beatrix published 2 or 3 little books a year, 23 in all. She continued to create her little books until the First World War, when her energies were given toward her farming, sheep breeding, and land conservation. The quality of her illustrations of lively animals and the rural countryside and her great imagination were what she gave to her animal characters. With the success of her books and her great ideas as expanding spin-off merchandise. Now, spin-off merchandise is connected to a story, and this merchandise included board games, coloring books, wallpaper, figurines, baby blankets. My goodness. She used her immense profits to begin to buy rural property and raising livestock, pigs, cows, and chickens. And lastly, her beloved Hertwick sheep. These are the sheep that we sometimes see in pictures from England that have black faces and ears and little white bodies. Her purchase of Hilltop Farm was one of her first purchases, as she always wanted that farm and wanted to live in that lovely village. In her later years, she remodeled Hilltop Farm to include her private studio and workshop. The Tale of Jemima Puddle Duck and the tale of Tom Kitten reflect her great happiness with her country life. Beatrix did marry in 1913 to William Heelis, but they did not have children in their 30-year marriage. Beatrix Potter died of complications from pneumonia and heart disease on December 22nd, 1943, at one of her farming estates, Castle Cottage. I would love to think that at her death, all of her most loved characters met her on the Rainbow Bridge and welcomed her home. Love, Nana. Thank you for listening, artist friends. Please leave a review and share this with a friend. We invite you to join us in the You Are an Artist Clubhouse at chalkpastel.com, where we have over 500, yes, 500 video art lessons. We would also love for you to join us on Instagram, Facebook, and more. And be sure to tag us when you share photos of your artwork. We cannot wait to see. I'll be talking to you again soon.